So for my lashing practice, what I want to do is I don't want to just go ahead and make lashings just for the sake of making lashings. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make something I can use in camp, and I'm going to make an A-frame picnic table or a side table where I can put plates, cups, dishes, maybe just my my mess kit. So I'm going to start off with an A-frame, and then I'm going to have another identical A-frame back a little further away from it. I'm going to put my little background line here. And then what I'm going to do from my A-frames is I'm going to go ahead and put some stretchers across just for some extra stability. I don't know yet if I want to go ahead and make those long pieces or if I just want to try to keep a big plank. So let's keep it basic. And let's figure out what we need to go ahead and pull this off. Now, if I just put it together like this, it might wobble back and forth. So I'm going to go ahead and put a stringer across the top. So I'll take a stake, put a line up, and then run it across through my peaks, and then back down, just like we'd have a guy line in a tent. And that should keep my A-frames from wobbling back and forth, and then the space on the feet of my A-frame should keep them from toppling forward and backward. So let's see what I need. I need a couple of materials here, so I need 2 A-frames. I think I'm just going to use a plank on this one. I have a plank in the garage, and I think that'll work for us. So I need to figure out how am I going to attach this, and I have an attachment point here on my A-frame, here, and then I have the 2 right back here. So I'm probably going to do square lashings on these because those are going to look like my A-frame piece coming down with another bar coming behind it. If I have that, I think that's going to be good for a square lashing. So I'll have 4 square lashings. Each one of these is going to be maybe about 10 feet of rope. So let's say 4 10-feet sections of rope. And I have 2 sections up here. And what I think I'll do with these is we'll do shear lashings on those. Once I get on my shear lashings, I'll probably still do 10 feet of rope. So we have 2 10 feet of rope for the top. And we need this guy here, and he's going to be about 20 feet of rope. So I need 1 at 20 feet of rope. So for rope, I'm going to need 40, 60, 80. So I need 80 feet of rope. And then for my A-frames, let's see what I need for those. For my A-frames, I bet I can get away with, my A-frames are going to look like this. And I'll have a piece that I'll stretch across. So like I said, we're going to do square lashings on here. And then this one is going to be a shear lash. So let's go ahead and say maybe 6 to 8 feet. So for each one of my A-frames, I need 2 at 6 feet to 8 feet. I need 1 here and 1 here. And then for my cross piece, I'm going to need 1, and let's say this is somewhere between 3.5 to 4 feet. So we'll say maybe 40 to 48 inches. So I'll need 1 at, we'll just say 4 feet. So 1 at 4 feet. If I'm going to make 2 of these, that means I'm going to need, as far as spars, so this is for 1 of my A-frames, so I need 2 of these. So I'm going to need 4 spars at 6 feet to 8 feet long. If I have longer ones, it'll just stick up higher on the top, no big deal. And I will need 2 spars at 4 feet long. So that should give me what I need. I just need to go ahead and get my equipment. All right, getting ready to finish prepping my materials to make my picnic table. And right now I'm working on getting my rope all squared away. And if we look at our design that we're gonna go ahead and give a shot to. I need 80 feet of rope, but I need that in basically 6 10-foot sections in one 20-foot section. So I need about 80 feet of rope. Fortunately, if I head on over to the hardware store, I can go ahead and get 100 feet of rope. And because I'm not going to make anything that I'm actually going to climb on or stand on, I'm using 1/4-inch rope. I'm using natural cordage. You can see it actually has a 39-pound weight limit. And I would also say the warning on your rope is always very important. Never to exceed the working load limit and never use it for overhead lifting. Just to keep my lashings together, this should be just fine. But what I need to do is go ahead and break 100 feet down into the lengths that I need. So first thing I need to do is cut my rope to length, which I've already done for one of them. And as you might imagine, when I've cut my rope, I went ahead and marked all of my rope ahead of time at 10 feet intervals. That the ends, especially on our natural fiber, are going to start fraying really quickly. So I'm going to whip this before I even get outside. So for whipping, what I'm using is some waxed thread. It's relatively thick, should be easy to see on camera. That's also why I moved the white sheet of paper out of here so it doesn't kind of blend away. So I've got this already cut into about 16-inch lengths, and that should be plenty. For our whipping, I'm going to draw a quick little diagram of what we're going to be working on here. Whipping effectively works like this. We have our rope. We're going to say we have a braided rope and it's starting to fray. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our whipping cordage and we're going to put it into almost kind of a long J. And we're going to lay that long J something like that. We're going to lay this right on top of the rope. What we're going to be able to do is, I'll make it a little bit longer. We're going to take this J and we're going to bend it around, and then we're going to start wrapping around our rope. And you'll see what I'm talking about here. So when I say a J pattern, it's about how I'm using my rope at the beginning. Get this stuff out of the way. I'm going to take my whipping cordage, my whipping waxed thread, and I'm just going to kind of stretch it into a J. I'm using waxed because it helps the whipping cordage slide along itself. I'm going to take my rope and I'm going to go ahead and take this J shape, and here's the short part of the J and here's the long part of the J. The short part of the J is going to be held against the rope. I'll try and get a little closer, you guys can see what I'm talking about. So I have the J shape, and I hold my J shape right up against my rope. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the long part of my J, and just a bit from the end, I'm going to take the long part of my J and I'm going to start wrapping all the way around this rope. So I've taken one full turn around, another full turn, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now there's no fixed number of how many turns you're going to take. It depends upon the thickness of your whipping cord, the thickness of your rope. But what you really want to do is make sure that the distance that you're doing from where you began to where you stop is at least as wide as the thickness of your rope. So this should kind of look either like a square or kind of a long rectangle. Let's recap. So now that I've wrapped it around, could be 5 times, could be 6 times. A lot of times I'll wrap with just a standard sewing machine thread, in which case I'll do maybe 20 to 25 wraps. I'm going to take the long part of my J, and this is where the bottom bite is on my J. I'm going to take my whipping thread. I'm going to put it up through there. Now what happens is this starts to kind of look like a noose. And it's going to operate in a similar fashion when I pull on the short leg of my J. When I pull on the short leg of my J, and this is the part where using waxed thread really, really works because it glides smoothly. You can see how my bite on my J is starting to close up. And once it gets all the way in, it'll have closed up on what is left from the long part of my J. Now what we want to do is take this bottom loop of our J and pull it so that it almost tucks halfway underneath that collar that we've made. there it is. It's gone underneath. Now all we need to do is trim these off. I have my pocket knife off to the side. Be nice and careful because I want to just cut that whipping all the way off again. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and cut away from it. If you want to use scissors for that part, it makes total sense to do so. So now I'm just going to kind of smooth this out with my fingers so that the wax on that thread softens up and it kind of makes a solid collar. So that is my rope whipped. So only, how many more do I need to do? Only 7 more ends, so 14 more instances of whipping, and I'll be ready to head outside.